All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is the first of many live streams of the Keto911 podcast. I am your host, Daniel, your Keto EMT, and I'm just so excited to be able to do this for the first time live. I'm coming to you off of Facebook and YouTube. And then I will take this live stream and I will download it, and this will go to the audio of the actual podcast that will be streamed to so many different areas um, out there in the space. So, without further ado, I'm not going to hold up much of your time. I'm more than thankful for you all to be here. I have with me today. I interviewed him about a year, a little bit about a year ago on my podcast, and now I have him back. I wanted to make sure that you all got a chance to see him, interact live with us, ask questions, so that way, one, you don't just hear it from my mouth, you'll get a chance to hear it from a person who's experienced it himself, gone through the work, did the work, and even more so, wrote his own story behind it, and even created his own keto products as well. So, without further ado, I have Mr. Thom King. So, I'm going to go over his bio. Part CEO, part personal development wonk, and part biohacker info geek. Mr. Thom King is a self-confessed serial entrepreneur. While his favorite book list contains many success-oriented and personal development classics, the traditional definition of achieving success, i.e., making a lot of money, is not what inspires or motivates King. He follows more of a "you aren't doing well unless you're doing some good" line of thinking. King's company has been built around the simple principle of do the right thing. In 1999, Thom's personal passion for food and his concern over the explosion of metabolic disease led him to found Stevia Brands, now known as Icon Foods, with a mission to stem the tide of diabesity, as he coins it, by providing consumers with healthy alternatives to sugar. In recent years, his passion for food and optimal health have intersected with the embrace of a ketogenic, low-carb, high-fat diet. Thom's latest project is a line of ketogenic condiments intended to help more people successfully adopt a healthier lifestyle. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to some and even more to many, Mr. Thom King. Mr. Thom King, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you, Daniel. It's fantastic to see you again. It's been a while.
Likewise. So, I have to ask for everybody that survived, how is COVID 2.0, 3.0, G2, G14 classified, whatever variant,
Omicron.
the
Yep.
Omicron, Decepticon, Transformers, how have you been hanging in there for this time period?
I think I've done well.
Okay.
I don't think that I'm going to realize the full impact of it you know, until I feel like we're really out of it. So I'm in Oregon, and our the mask mandate doesn't lift until the 12th, which is not next week, but the week after. And I think that at that point, then I'm going to know, like, is it PTSD that I'm suffering from? Is everything
Right.
going to be okay? Um, but I had, over 2 years to reflect and to react, because our business it was affected a lot because of supply chain problems. I mean, there's so much happened, but I don't know. I think that I'm sure I grew from the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it changed a lot of things, like I put on some weight, and that's something that I'm sort of reflecting on, my relationship with food, because it became this thing, like self-medication, you
Right.
know and but I'm healthy. Like, I
Yeah.
got my vaccine, I got COVID, and I got boosted. So I think I've got some pretty good immunity. Just about everybody around me either got it, or
Yeah.
just about everybody I know actually got it. So I don't know. I'm glad to I feel optimistic that things are getting better.
I'm right there with you. I had COVID
Mm.
back in, yeah, it was. think it was the end of 2020,
Hmm.
and February of 2021. That's when I started getting the vaccine, and I
Mhm.
got boosted. I think it was the end of last year because that
Yeah.
was my 8 month period.
Mm.
So yeah, it's been crazy. Well, Texas is being Texas. Some you got masks here, you got masks there.
Yeah.
If you're happy and you know it, wear your mask kind of
Yeah.
situation. But I I could say the same thing. I have moments where I have had weaknesses with food as well, and I've had to go back and really really do the work, and get myself back into it. But I'm happy that you're doing great since the last time that we
Thank
talked,
you.
and I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And we'll just go ahead and get into it. So, if you could you go
Mhm.
ahead and tell my wonderful listeners, what do you do?
Um, well, my day job
Mhm,
is um, the chief food scientist for Icon Foods. So my role is really CEO. I mean, that's my title,
mhm.
but I am a food scientist and uh, I'm the chief food scientist here. So on a daily basis, I work on reformulating and formulating uh, consumer goods products
Mhm.
to get the sugar out. And we've got a lot of formulations in beverage, in bars, in cereals. I would like to consider us sort of the OGs of sweeteners
Okay.
for keto and low carb products. That is my that's my day job, and my side hustle is the guy on keto. Um, and I basically the book that I wrote like 4 or 5 years ago was just about my journey. It
Right.
was about like my relationship with food, my relationship with discipline, how like it was my plan on how to break myself of bad habits.
Mhm.
The book came out and it did really well, which I was that shocked by because it was like my first book. But during that period, while I was writing the book, I
Mhm.
found that I couldn't really have like traditional condiments like ketchup, barbecue sauce, teriyaki sauce,
Yeah.
because they were loaded with sugar, like more sugar than like ice cream and more sugar than like a Snickers bar. So when you start weighing out the impact of condiments, uh, and also, I mean, condiments really help food taste delicious.
Yeah.
So that's when I just got into the lab and I started making my own ketchup. I started making my own barbecue sauce, and then we started manufacturing them, and they have done amazingly well. And I've expanded the line quite a bit.
Okay.
We now have a spicy ketchup, which is one of my favorites, and spicy barbecue sauce.
Now I can't.
And
Now I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I can't say that I have. For those who are watching and listening, I have had the opportunity to try a lot of his sauces. This right here is his steak sauce. I think the light is there. We go. That's a little bit better. The steak sauce. I did have the Thai chili, sauce. I had the ketchup as well and the barbecue sauce. And yeah, they're all gone because they were.
we're gonna get you some more, and then I'll show you my this is the latest project right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so these are called Shelby's,
Uh huh.
and they're like a no added sugar M&M.
Whoa. Okay. 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 Yeah, that's amazing. And I have two small little ones who I could definitely bring along with that one, so that way we can
I should
properly
have
taste
those.
it.
Those should be out in the next probably in the next couple months.
Nice.
So that was quite a feat. So we pulled all the sugar out of it, and
Uh,
hi James,
yeah, mama.
I'll
See.
get you some. Um, yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm going to be doing a peanut and then a
Okay.
white chocolate, and I think that we're working on a like Mexican chocolate that's
Ooh.
got
Okay.
that's going to have like cloves and that's kind of spicy and zesty and fun.
Okay. So with that being said, since you have such an array of different things that you already have going on, I've already had the spices. I know on Icon Foods you have the sweetener as well,
Yeah.
the keto sweetener.
Mhm.
Who inspired you to really get into food?
That's a good question. I mean, getting into food, have always fancied myself a bit of a foodie, and I don't even know why. Like, I would say that I'm decent in the kitchen. I'm pretty good in the lab, but in the kitchen,
Mhm.
it's generally like I don't know. Like, I honestly, I brought my lunch in, and
Mhm.
the CFO of the company came in and was like, "What did you dig that out of the bottom of your refrigerator? It looks like it's half spoiled." So I I don't know. Like I'm interested in food. I'm interested in the science of food more than anything
Right.
else. So like the functionality, like what can I use to replace sugar? What can I use to make this, make things have a caramel flavor or consistency. So
Right.
I'm always looking at the science of it. And I would say that probably, you know, partly my education,
Mhm.
in food science. And then when I was in high school, biology was like the my number one subject, and I was obsessed with science and biology and chemistry, and I think that that's just manipulating things,
Yeah.
making them into something different.
Okay. So along with that being the food, the scientist in chief, that you are,
Mhm.
I assume, with your book Guide on Keto and everything, you have lived the keto. You are living the ketogenic lifestyle.
Mm.
How long have you done it, and what motivated you to start to live that lifestyle?
That's a good question. um, I used to use the keto diet, but it was
Hmm.
more Atkins as a way to lose weight. So I would just eat like whatever I wanted until I would get too fat, and then I would use Atkins to lose the weight. So what happened is it was like sort of this yo-yo effect, um, which is really unhealthy for you. But I just hit this threshold, and I think it was like while I was writing the book, I hit this threshold of like, I was carrying maybe 35, 40 pounds worth of extra weight. On my
Oh wow.
frame, it's not going to be huge,
Yeah.
but it was still more weight, and it was like causing high blood pressure. And I just didn't feel very good. And, I work in the keto, low carb, industry. So I just really felt like an imposter. And at that point, I think I was in Vegas at a trade show, and I just sort of hit this threshold of I went out to dinner, ate way too much food and dessert, and got back to the hotel. And I'm like, what am I doing? Who's this person I've
Yeah.
become? That's when I started writing the book. But the founder of Quest Nutrition, who makes Quest bars, Ron Penna,
Hmm.
he's the one. He sort of flipped the switch for me, because I'd ask him out to dinner, and he's like, "Well, I don't really eat," and I'm like, "I don't understand this not eating thing." And then, he brought up sort of like, "Do you eat to live or live to eat?"
Hmm.
And that really stuck with me because I started thinking about that, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I My relationship with food is something I really need to take a hard look at.
Right.
And I mean, and through COVID, um, I sought a lot of sort of comfort in food that was not keto. Beer, popcorn, I put on 15 pounds,
Yeah.
and now I'm trying to get that 15 pounds off. I got 5 of it off, but it's a real struggle. And it's really taking my discipline of keto and understanding keto
Hmm.
to a whole nother level. Like, okay, so am I using keto to lose weight, or am I using keto to, for other things like driving down inflammation? Like that's one thing that I found that, now that I'm really, really focused on keto,
Hmm.
that it's like, okay, so I can notice my inflammation going down.
Okay.
Other things I notice are just like, um, like I'm 60 years old, so I'm getting up there, and like urinating. When you get older, you're not going to get the same stream that you used to get.
Right.
It's embarrassing. But what I found is that keto completely reverses that. So there's a lot of like interesting inflammation things, a lot of physiological things that I'm noticing, that keto's bringing, as well as sort of neurological, because, if I eat carbs, if I'm in a state where I have a lot of, you know, glucose in my system, I don't
Mhm.
think as clearly, and I'm more tired, and my sleep cycle is messed up. Um, and keto really seems to bring all of that into order. Um, so I have a renewed interest, I have a renewed commitment, and I've learned a lot, and I would like to rewrite that book
Yes,
because it's
sir.
like
Yes, sir.
these are the things. Your relationship with food is what's important. Self acceptance is what's important. It's like don't beat yourself up because if you're on the keto bandwagon and you're trying to lose weight and you get on the scale and you found that you gained 2 pounds after like really having a week of strong keto, and it's like, why is this happening? Don't do that to yourself. This is a
Yeah.
long game. It's a long game. Make a commitment to your success and stick with it and show yourself grace.
Right. Yes, I agree. I agree with that completely. And that's one of the things that I tell a lot of my friends. I'm like, we didn't gain the weight overnight. So
Mm-mm.
we can't expect it to come off within a week or two to see drastic changes. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And one of the things, I have to, I'm gonna point out your book in just a second because one, this has been such an amazing resource for me. And, you know, it starts with small behavioral changes. You know, we have to get to the point to where we realize, okay, what I've been doing isn't working, either the depression, whatever it is that's causing us to go for that comfort food. And that's what it is. It tastes good. It releases those endorphins, that feel good feeling. But when that sugar rush goes down, um, we have to, we're back eating again within 4 hours, and we're putting more food on top of that food, and when it's backing up the digestion system. And we have to give ourselves, just like you said, we have to give ourselves grace to understand, document, as your book says, journal it, so that way you can see where you started, see what's worked, what hasn't worked for you, so that way you can tweak it. And and you're constantly learning. Even it's been almost 3 years now since I've been on keto, and I'm still a student. My body, as you said that you're closer to 60, and I don't believe that, not for a second. My birthday is
You
my
flatter.
birthday is next Thursday, and I'll be 35. And as my friend said, that check engine light's starting to come on.
No. Oh
And I'm
no.
like,
You got a long road ahead, my friend.
see, it's just now starting to come on, and it goes off and it comes on, and then I'm like,
Nice.
I don't need it to stay on. I don't need to stay on. But we have to start that maintenance now. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I see my boy James is saying that he has to get that in his head because he's trying to sprint. Yeah, when you try to sprint a marathon, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you really just try to push yourself just so that way you can get those fast results, you're gonna hurt yourself. You gotta pace yourself, give yourself time. And our bodies are capable of doing some amazing things. I had a good friend, he reversed his type 2 diabetes,
Wow.
um, just by changing how his relationship with food and how he eats,
Hmm.
which is fantastic. He's become a good friend of mine, throughout the whole process as well. So, but yeah, but thank you so much for that. So, with being the scientist that you are, what makes them different? We understand that sugar is bad. It's the enemy of the other people. You know, your book says it. I've said it before too. The hidden sugars within the labels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are the main detriments that you see that you see that's on the labels that's killing us? And what about your products that makes it separate and better than everything else that's out there right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, they don't contain they don't contain any added sugars. So you won't have that. I've also put in a lot of healthy fats with MCT oil. So I would say that that's
Hmm.
the biggest factor. I mean, when you look at like traditional ketchup,
Hmm.
for a serving of ketchup, it's almost 20 grams of sugar. And so 20 grams of sugar, like, I mean, putting that in perspective,
Hmm.
let's say you go to Starbucks, right?
Right.
So, and you get a little packet of sugar, that's 4 grams. So empty five of those onto your hamburger. That's how
Mm.
much added sugar ketchup has. So, I mean, here's the thing about sugar. Like, so sugar's a molecule that consists of basically 50% glucose and 50% fructose. So when it gets into your stomach breaks that apart. Your liver actually metabolizes fructose, which is kind of interesting because I have a little side story on fructose. Um, then you also have glucose, and glucose is the thing that's going to spike your insulin, right?
Right.
Because that's the thing that gives you the immediate burst, like bunch of energy. But your body actually, the human body only needs 4 tablespoons of glucose in your entire body to
Hmm.
function. So your body doesn't need that much glucose, and anything that you get into your system, anything that you get into your body more than what it needs is going to be stored.
Right.
And and so a lot of people are thinking, well, yeah, so the sugar gets stored as fat. Well, that's not necessarily true. The glucose will get stored as glycogens in your muscles. It'll just be saved sugar. So that is when you start developing metabolic disease. The thing
Hmm.
that is going to put the fat on your body is fructose, because fructose is metabolized by your liver, but it's not metabolized into energy, right? So
Right.
fructose doesn't give you energy at all. And I'll give you a prime example of this. Like when you think about bears, like when a bear is about to go into hibernation,
Hmm.
they're going through all these orchards, going through garbage, and they're looking for things that are rotten. Mostly what they're looking for is rotten fruit. And rotten fruit has the highest concentration of fructose that it has in its entire existence. Like when it's rotten like that, it's just
Yeah.
fructose. What happens is fructose gets metabolized by your liver and converted to fat and stored on your body. So you're not burning it. It just gets stored as fat. So
Hmm.
fructose is your true enemy. That's the thing that's going to start creating the metabolic disease, and it's also going to be a barrier to you being able to metabolize glucose. And
Yeah.
that is when the whole system starts coming down. So when people are like, "Well, I'll just have a glass of orange juice," um, I would say have a glass of glucose instead, because it's
That's
like
basically what you're putting
fructose
in.
is just orange juice is just pure fructose. And when I
Yeah.
look at like, you know, folks with kids, and it's like filling up their baby bottle with juice,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh yeah, well they like juice and juice is good for you." No, it's not. Fruit is your dessert,
Yeah.
like at the end of your meal, have like a couple pieces of like fruit or berries. I mean, berries are the lowest glycemic
And that
of them all.
and
But
that's one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt.
no,
And that's one
please.
thing that I've noticed as well. And that's what's key about reading the labels. It's key to read the labels
Mm,
because they try to hide it. They'll hide it to in plain sight.
yeah.
Usually, you'll see it in ketchup, cereal. You'll see high fructose
Yep.
corn syrup, sucralose, dextrose,
Yep.
um, all them losses. But that's just it's right there. And then you have to. That's why I encourage everybody to read the labels because
Absolutely.
the cleaner the ingredients, and usually it's the shorter the amount of ingredients that are on there that you don't need a
Hmm.
thesaurus or at least 2 years at a junior college to understand, the better that they are. It should be the simpler the ingredients, the cleaner the ingredients, the better. You know,
Or no ingredient deck at all, meaning
right?
go into your produce department and get lettuce.
Lettuce.
Lettuce contains lettuce,
And
and
I got
get
I got a I got a question here.
Yes,
my
sir.
friend James Dixon, he says, let me just bring it up. For someone who doesn't have a consistent schedule, late nights, mornings, unable to meal prep, and only fast food options are available. Any suggestions as to what to eat from a fast food establishment or something that you can get from a, from a box store like Walmart or HEB? Because he's down there in Corpus Christi, Texas. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, you want avocados. The main thing is you want to make sure that you're getting enough fat, and that will get you into keto. Most people think just eating meat and cheese is gonna do the trick, but it's not. Actually, getting plenty of fat. I would, if you're drinking coffee, you can
mhm,
add MCT oil to it. You could add butter to your coffee, cream to your coffee. Like, the
mhm,
fat is the thing that is going to get you into keto, because what happens is your liver also metabolizes fat. It
mhm,
metabolizes fructose. There's a lot of things that your liver metabolizes, but your liver is really, really good at metabolizing fat and turning it into ketones, and that is the thing that your brain will start metabolizing. So getting enough fat is key. Cutting out any kind of sugar at all, is 100% key, because that is going to throw you out of keto. If you, I get it. If you're not, I mean, if you diet Coke, things that have aspartame, things that have sucralose, different types of chemical sweeteners,
mhm,
those those don't have those still have an impact, because they're chemicals, and your
mhm,
body doesn't really know what to do with them. Like using stevia or monk fruit or something like that, it always better, because your body recognizes it. It's like, oh, this is stevia, it's not a sugar. But when it encounters something like sucralose or aspartame, it's
mhm.
like, hey, I don't know what this is. I will function as though it were sugar. So it
Yeah,
can trigger a bit of an insulin response, but you do get the benefit of the calorie abatement, if you will.
right.
So if you have to go that route, I think they call that dirty keto. Do it. Sliced
Mhm.
turkey, always a good snack. Cheese. Stay away from bread. Stay away from crackers. A really great source of protein, fats, and fibers are nuts. Um, I love sunflower seeds.
Mhm.
Great to snack on. Almonds, macadamia
Yes.
nuts are loaded with fat. Pele nuts
Mhm.
are really. I mean, there's a variety of nuts that you'll never get sick of. Make sure they're not candy coated. Nut
Yes.
butters. I always keep a thing of sunflower butter. I always keep a little thing of almond butter. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
cottage cheese. There's a lot of things. If you read the nutritional facts panel, I don't have one on me right now, but if you read a nutritional facts panel, that will give you your guidelines. If it has added sugars, put it back.
Yeah.
Always look for, how sugar content, carb content, fiber content. If there's something that has carbs, but it's got a lot of fibers, you're probably going to be safe. But read your labels, graze, snack on nuts and
Yeah.
cheese and stuff like that. That's the advice I can give you. If you're going to go out, if you're going to go out to hit fast food, one that I found really works for me is Chipotle. So, like, Chipotle, yep, Chipotle has their cauliflower rice,
Mhm.
which is delicious, and I mean, just get a lot of avocado on it.
Yeah.
So Chipotle is a good one. That's honestly the only one that I think really falls into keto. Although I heard, I heard that Subway has keto, like a keto bun that
Yeah.
Tom Brady was promoting, the GOAT, greatest of all
Yeah.
time.
See, now usually when I go out, like I know Chipotle, I've had the keto bowl.
Yeah,
Amazing. Oh my gosh,
I
amazing. Like
agreed.
tastes good. And you can I'm talking about I load that bad boy with rice, cauliflower, plenty of leafy green vegetables,
Hmm.
avocado for my fat content. And there's also I think the competition to Subway's up here is called Jersey Mike's.
Yeah.
And they have what's called a sub in the tub. It's where literally you can get anything that's on the sandwich on a bed of lettuce, and I usually get
Oh,
um and even had a couple of more questions that came through, but I'm gonna get to those in just a second.
I think
But that
McDonald's will put your if you ask them for low carb, will put your hamburger in a lettuce wrap.
McDonald's I think does it. I know Wendy's will do it.
Okay.
Five Guys have a lettuce wrap burger.
Oh,
Same thing as is it Five Guys? Yeah, Five Guys has a lettuce wrap burger.
that's good to know.
Wingstop is pretty good if you get the bone-in wings and you get
Yeah.
the either the garlic pepper or the parmesan.
That sounds
The
good.
oil that they cook it in isn't the best,
Yeah,
but if
it'll get you
you know,
by.
yeah, if you're on a bender, you just really just need something, then those are really good. And Whataburger in Texas also does that as well.
Here's another one too that I ran into, like sort of a if you don't have time to food prep,
Mhm.
um, I egg bites.
Yes.
And I mean egg bites, like the ones that I found, and I found them at Walmart. I think you guys
Mhm.
probably have Walmarts down there.
Yeah.
Or do you guys have grocery outlets?
Not really. It just depends on the region of Texas that you are. Some places are more monopolized in their stores. We have what is called Brookshire's, which is owned by Brookshire Brothers, which is a
Okay.
family-owned company. Of course, we have Walmart's. We just now started getting Aldi's, Natural Grocers, and the Sprouts.
Yeah, those they'll have egg bites, and egg bites you can put those in the freezer. You can put them in the refrigerator, bring them to
Hmm.
work with you. One thing like that I found that's been super helpful for me, and that I've been very impressed by, is
Hmm.
they're in Oregon, and I think they're throughout the United States. There's a grocery store, and it's called Grocery Outlet.
Okay.
And I would Google them because they get stuff that's like grocery stores aren't selling anymore. I mean, it's all perfectly good, but I have found so many keto products in there
Hmm.
that it's crazy. And they're like, I've seen keto cereal in there for $1.99,
Whoa.
a box, where it's like I've seen it in other retail stores for like 99.99.
Yeah.
So, and they've also got egg bites there. There is a lot of keto stuff because you have to consider that there's a lot of people that are like that are first to market with keto, and
Hmm.
they get the product into a bunch of stores, and like a lot of conventional stores, maybe that's not that popular, like not everybody does keto.
Yeah.
And so if
Well,
it doesn't work on those particular grocery stores like Safeway and stuff like that, it gets moved
mhm.
into stores like Grocery Outlet, and you can get really, really good deals
Yeah.
on stuff that's keto and sugar free.
Yeah.
I would
And one
check
of the
those
things
out.
And one of the things that I found with going to Sprouts, they
Hmm.
label their keto items.
Oh,
So they'll either label it if it's keto or paleo or if it's
perfect.
vegetable based. Like it's
Yeah.
really helpful. You still got to read the labels
Hmm.
because just because they slap keto on it doesn't mean that it's actually keto.
Yep. Always
So
read
those
those
are those things.
labels.
So one of those bad things. Real quick, I had one question.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for those options as well because everybody is loving
Welcome, James. Good luck.
love,
Check out
loving
Subway.
every bit of it. But one question also, what about keto for vegans and vegetarians? Have you come across that?
We have, and I not last year, but the year before, um, I had people challenge me on that. Like, what can you do? It's harder,
Yeah.
but keep in mind that the macronutrients for keto are going to be 70% fat, 20% protein,
Hmm.
10% carbs. And those
Hmm.
carbs are going to be like leafy greens and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's not that hard. It's a lot of nuts,
Hmm.
it's a lot of oils, a lot of nuts, a lot of avocados. It's the main thing is making sure you get your fat level up. Um, Aside from that, that's not too tough. I mean, it getting enough fat is going to be the key with doing a plant-based uh, keto diet, but it's
Yeah.
totally doable. You making cashew creams.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, that's really easy to do. Just soak your cashews overnight, and then you
Hmm.
can add a variety of different spices to it. You can make it savory. It can be more sweet. You can add a little, stevia or erythritol to it. There's a lot of options. So it is doable. It's not going to be as convenient
Hmm.
as, being able to use dairy, because dairy has a lot of fat,
Yeah,
but it's definitely doable.
because one actual vegan vegetarian option that I've actually found, because my wife is doing the keto vegan aspect of it,
Nice.
nut pods.
Mm.
They have a vegan creamer that's actually
Oh,
keto.
yeah.
And when I tried it out, and it tastes amazing. Really, really, really tastes amazing. It's really not expensive like some of the other keto creamers that are out there. So for those who are looking for the vegan or vegetarian option, look up nut pods. Check the ingredients; they're very, very, very good.
There's another company that is called Moolala, and
Okay,
they have keto milk, and it's spelled MYLK. I would check that out because that is the
okay,
closest thing that I have found to real milk. In mouthfeel, in viscosity, everything. I mean, it replicates milk pretty close, and it's got a lot of fat,
yeah,
and it's also plant based.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Um, before we move on to the next part of the questions, I got one more question.
Yes, sir.
Is it safe to eliminate carbs altogether? Now that's I know that's kind of a hard thing because a lot of different foods, even though you're trying to lower your carb intake, I look
Yeah.
at as much as 25 uh, grams of carbs a day
Hmm.
is a good safe way to go about things. But there are some foods you just can't get away from having carbs from because they just have carbs. But as far as me, I look at least 25. It's starting out 50 grams of carbs or less, but definitely working your way down to, in my honest opinion, in my experience, to at least 25 grams of carbs a day. What do you think?
When, there's a lot of opinions on it. I am not carbs are not my enemy.
Hmm.
Sugar is my enemy. So that's the thing that I would look at. Eliminating carbs completely.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people out there that are doing. I don't know if it's a lot of people. There are people out there that are doing keto carnivore,
Yeah.
and I've known people that have done keto carnivore for 2 or 3 years, and during that 2 or 3 year period, they thought it was awesome, but
Hmm.
they're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I don't believe that human beings are designed to be carnivores. Like our body and our tooth structure are not designed specifically for just being a carnivore. I
Right.
think is it I don't think it's safe to totally and completely eliminate carbs from your diet. And people that are living a uh, keto carnivore diet will argue with me on this. I've gotten into arguments with them, and I brought up the fact that if you're not doing any carbs at all,
Hmm.
what is your microbiome going to live on? So the
Right.
microbiome is like your gut bacteria, and it eats
Hmm.
carbs. So it needs those fibers, it needs those carbs, and if you cut that out, you're going to get an imbalance in your microbiome. If you get an imbalance in your microbiome, that's responsible for 80% of your immune system and 70% of your like endorphins. So, I mean, you can end up creating this sort of chemical imbalance. I had a doctor tell me straight up that he thought that the microbiome wasn't important. Um, I I would disagree with that, but
Yeah. Me too.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professor. I'm a food scientist, and if they know something that I don't know, I would encourage them to publish it. But I don't think that it's safe to eliminate carbs completely from your diet.
All right. Thank
My
you.
opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate that because these are the things that and the purpose of this, and this is why it's so important, especially with you being a food scientist here, is that
Hmm.
way, the people who are watching and asking the questions and how this is going to be distributed out, so that way everybody can make an informed decision.
Mm-hmm.
because within doing anything within keto, what is keto? Keto is getting your body to stop burning sugar as a form of energy and start using your natural fat to burn energy. So in the process of doing that, you have to make sure, because everybody's body is different. What works for you may not work for me. I may have to tweak something that's going to make sure that my body stays in balance, and so where I'm not doing the process that's going to hurt me in the long run. Because when people don't get the results they want, or they do something based off of what somebody else is doing, they can hurt themselves and get a bad reaction, and then they say, well, you know what, keto didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is why everything what you're saying is really really key to where people are making informed decisions, so that way they can go about doing it safely and get the best results that they need for themselves. So thank you so much for breaking that down, because
Thank you.
yeah, that's really needed. So the Guy Going Keto project, if y'all haven't, I haven't got a chance to show you this, but this awesome gentleman, this right here is his amazing, amazing, amazing book. It's called Guy Going Keto. I got this light on. I think I might turn it off. Here, let me see. It says Guy Going Keto. Okay, you can find this book on Amazon. You can find this book on his website, Guy Going Keto. I got my sticky notes in here for my areas of reference, so that way I can go back to when I have a brain fart moment, so that way I can keep myself on track. This is the whole project of self help. Okay, the book here has not only just your story, it has a plan, and that's one thing that I'm big on. It's great to want to do something, but what is your plan? And a lot of times when you're wanting to start something, a lifestyle change, a lot of people don't know where to go, or how to go about doing it. This is a good reference. This is a good resource, so that way, one, you can actually start and have a great foundation on how to build yourself a healthier life. So, Amazon, we're gonna circle back to where you can find this. Everybody, James, everybody who's listening, and not only do you have that, you also have recipes,
I
meal
have I have a
plans.
few recipes in there. They're kind of just basic, key recipes to get you
Yeah.
started. I mean, you can really expand on those. I mean, mostly, honestly, the book is just like it started as a journal. Like I
Hmm.
was just writing down the things that I thought were going to be helpful for me. And after a year, I mean, I just had an entire book. But I think that the book is really, I would have to say, like a guide for breaking habits.
Yeah.
Like my habit was wine and pizza. and and it's like it was about how to break that habit, how to, associate pain with the things that bring you pleasure.
Right.
And I know that sounds, I mean, the whole keto thing actually sounds pretty gruesome because, I mean, keto is actually your body reacting to starvation. Like you're
Mm.
starving it for glucose and it puts itself into secondary, energy source, which is fats and ketones. But I don't know, maybe I'm a glutton for punishment or a masochist, but it's like if I if I have a habit, if I feel like something's controlling me,
Hmm.
that outside of myself, like I'm allowing a bad habit or behavior to control me,
Hmm.
I it starts to mess with my head.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, look, I don't want to be dependent. I don't want to be dependent on anything. I don't want to be dependent on, food. I don't want to be dependent on alcohol or vice. I don't want to be dependent on other people's approval,
Right.
and when you really look at it, it's like, you know, do we want to be thin because people will like us better? Um, that the book is about that. The book is about breaking habits, breaking dependencies, self acceptance, like really accepting yourself
Hmm.
and putting all the pieces together. And as you said, making a plan. It's like without a plan, it's you have no navigation.
Right. I agree. I completely agree. So, with your Guy Keto project, how do you see that this is how is it about giving back to the community as a whole?
Um, well, so one of the things that keto is used for is seizures. Um, it's an effective treatment for epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
So we donate a lot of product to a lot of organizations that support uh, a ketogenic diet or ketogenic lifestyle as a modality for treating childhood epilepsy.
Mm.
So the Charlie Foundation is one that we support quite a bit. And the Charlie Foundation is a really great site to go to because they've got a lot of amazing recipes and great support for uh for for families, that have children that suffer from epilepsy. Um, that's how I feel like we give back to the community. Also giving away books. I don't know how many books I've sold. I think it's a lot. I haven't counted them, but I would venture to guess that I've given away more than I've sold because I this the message of keto and the message of gaining control over your life, sharing that is more important to me than that will define the success of the book.
Right.
Not if I'm getting a check from Amazon or whatever bookstore is selling it. What will define that as a success is the lives that it's impacted. Like when I go to a trade show and somebody comes up to me and they're like, "You helped save my life." Those are the things that make a big difference. And I mean, and I don't need praise or anything, accolades for any of that stuff. Just but seeing that I've made a positive difference, because they read my book or they tried some of my products or they heard me on a podcast. That is that I actually wouldn't say that that's a contribution as much as it is a, a gift to me
Yeah.
because it shows that I contributed, that I made a difference, that I made a contribution, and I think that that's what I live for.
See, see, I know that's why we synced up because it. All right, man, you got me in my Disney moment. You caught me in my feels now. That's exactly,
Good,
you
good,
know, it's selfless. You're doing it because you want to impact change.
yeah,
We see every single day how the standard American diet kills people. I said it before in my podcast. Diabetes, congestive heart failure, high blood pressure. That was the pandemic before COVID even hit. We knew that the food, we knew then, and we know even more now that the food is killing us, and it's a slow death. And we see it in EMS. One of the first things that they taught us in EMS was if you want to have a good, successful career in this, you're going to have to preserve your back because Americans are becoming heavier.
mhm,
Lifting up those patients, even though we have, gotten some good stuff like auto loads and the power lifters, it wasn't nothing for 80 to 90% of the patients that we picked up in EMS to be 350 pounds plus.
mm,
And when you run through those medications, I pretty much just hey, are you on, lisinopril, metoprolol, or any statins, and I could just know because they would run them down, and I'm like, okay, I already know, and it hurts because I'm looking at them because I was that big, I was that uncomfortable, I was that unhealthy, and for you to be passionate about wanting to leave such a footprint like that, was more than commendable. Yeah, you deserve your flowers. Yes, we commend you. We applaud you because there are so many people who are out there who are looking at getting a check from it. They're not going to give out the information unless they can profit from it.
mhm.
And you have the passion to want to do that as a service to them, just so that way, one, you can do something for humanity, and that's more than commendable. More than commendable. Thank you for having the passion to do that because not too many people out there do.
Oh, thanks, Daniel. I mean, it's just something that's important to me. It's like when I don't know, when you look at the world, it's like there's a lot of people that don't contribute that, that are more takers.
Yeah.
Give me what you can give me, and um, I don't know, like if I can make the smallest impact, like from contribution, and even with like the folks that work for me, that's the biggest thing that we look for is contribution. What are you going to do to make other people's lives better? So, yeah, I think and with what you do in your podcast and who you are as a human being, I see that in you, and it's beautiful.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to be a service, even if a lot of the times, even if I'm not, I'm one of the people who like to work in behind the scenes. I'm
Yeah.
like, as long as I was there to contribute, you don't even have to know it was me. I just want to see the results. I just want to see the smile. I just want to see the happiness come from it. That's all I care about. I'm serious. If I don't make a dime, that's perfect. I didn't come out here to make a dime. I came out here to make a change. That's
I
just me.
love that.
So, let me see. So moving on, I just want to go ahead because I know we're about an hour, and I don't want to take up a majority of your evening. One of the products that you have, Keto Sweet Plus.
Mm.
Could you tell us about that, and how was it beneficial to either preparing meals, desserts? What are the uses for it, and the benefits from it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Keto Sweet Plus is my favorite sweetener. So that's a formulation that I came up with. Um, it's available in like crystalline, but I use the syrup. And it's a blend of allulose, stevia, and monk fruit.
Ooh, okay.
And so, I mean, but all of the pieces work together. So allulose is a relatively new sweetener, and it's made through a fermentation process. So fructose is fermented using a particular yeast, uh, and the byproduct of that is going to be allulose, and it's about 70% as sweet as sugar,
Mm-hmm.
but it functions like sugar. So it caramelizes. It
Ooh,
has
okay.
like mouthfeel, like viscosity. It's thicker than just water. But because it's 70% as sweet as sugar, I added the stevia and the monk fruit to bring
Mm-hmm.
it up to a level that's just slightly sweeter than sugar. And the
Ooh,
beauty of utilizing both stevia and monk fruit is that stevia for some people has a like a off note or back taste of like
yeah, like
licorice or something.
yeah.
But when you mix the two, the monk fruit and the stevia, it actually it vanquishes those off notes. But
Okay.
the beauty about allulose, and I mean, I've done this case study numerous times. The beauty about allulose is that it will actually drive your ketones up. So it will put you into a deeper state of keto,
Mm-hmm.
um, which and it lowers your blood sugar too. Now,
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I wouldn't say use it as medicine,
Mm-hmm.
but I have made ice cream with caramel syrup using using allulose,
Mm-hmm.
and tested my blood for ketones before and after, and it absolutely dropped them.
Whoa.
And that was after eating a bowl of ice cream with caramel topping. So I really believe in this sweetener. I think it's the best. I think it's the best option right now to replace sugar. Super easy to use. If you get it in the liquid form, like if you're having coffee, shoot
Mm-hmm.
some in your coffee, and I mean you're good to go. You can use it for anything. Like if you use it to if you're making a sauce and you want
Mm-hmm.
it to be a little sweeter. I mean that's what I used in the Gaigon keto sauces,
Nice. Okay.
because it caramelizes. So you can use it for anything that you would use for sugar.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm ready.
Did we get you some of that?
I haven't tried it yet. I haven't
You
tried it
you
yet.
have it, but you haven't tried it.
No, I haven't. I haven't got it yet. I
Oh,
have.
we'll get it to you. It's really good.
Okay.
It's my
Okay.
favorite. I
Okay.
have it every morning with my coffee.
Okay. So okay. Yeah. I'm all in because I have my bulletproof coffee every single day. I have my
Good.
MCT oil,
Yeah,
heavy whipping cream, and yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
absolutely.
you. So as we come to a close, I would just like to know what's next. I know you showed me the new version for your M&Ms. I seen on the Icon Foods and your Guy on Keto website the sprinkles.
Yep.
What's next? What's coming down the pipeline? What's the next big thing coming?
As far as the Guy Gone Keto, like the Guy Gone Keto products,
Hmm.
I have a lot queued up, but I haven't really decided what is going to be next in for the Guy Gone Keto. I am working on a project right now that of variegates. And so
Okay.
what a variegate is like if you've ever had ice cream and you notice that there's like a ribbon of like strawberry
Hmm.
or some sort of a fruit that's in there,
Yeah.
that contributes about 10% of the total added sugar to ice cream. So we have been working on developing a line of variegates that are going to have no added sugar. So
Whoa. Okay.
those things I'm pretty excited about,
Hmm.
because you'll be able to use those as toppings. You'll be able to use it as fruit prep, like the bottom of yogurt.
Hmm.
So you'll be able to mix it in with yogurt and stuff. Whether I release those on the Guy Gone Keto label, I don't know yet.
Okay.
Maybe. I'll have to see if I can get it shelf stable. Like
Okay.
right now, I'll have them in more of like a frozen bag that goes to ice cream manufacturers. But if I can stabilize it, which I'm like 90% sure that I can,
Okay.
then we'll put them in jars, and I would say that we could probably have those out by third quarter of this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
I,
starting. I think I'm starting with raspberry.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Email me. Put me on the email list.
I'll get
I'll
you
be
plenty of
ready.
product, Daniel. Don't you worry.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. My boy James, he's asking for replacements for salt. Um.
For salt,
Mm-hmm.
okay, salt is not bad for you. Okay, too much salt
Mm-hmm.
is can raise your blood pressure. But remember, salt is an electrolyte. So if you're going to be doing keto,
Mm-hmm.
um, so some people have been like, "Hey, I got muscle cramps in my legs and stuff like that." That is a sign of not having enough electrolytes in your body. I I use salt as an electrolyte. So if you're going to have like water, put a little salt, a little bit of lemon. If you have high blood pressure and that is one, and your doctor said, hey, you should use less salt to get your blood pressure down, that's one thing. If it's a medical reason, then definitely, you know, do what your doctor says.
Yeah.
But if your blood pressure isn't elevated, salt is not bad for you. I would
Yeah.
use like a Himalayan pink sea salt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but use it in moderation. But salt will actually prevent you from getting cramps. It keeps your heart rate steady. Salt is not necessarily a bad thing.
And one thing that I have to say, because I know, and I have to speak for Black people, because I know how we season food. It's like don't season for over flavor. Just season just lightly for taste.
Hmm.
You know, you don't need to. I gotta make sure I get that salt in there. A light amount of salt, so that way you know it's there to taste. Because nobody measures salt, especially in the African American households. And I'm just gonna be real with it. Y'all, my friends can get mad at me, but y'all know I'm right. We sit up here and we season it, and we just, all right, that's about it. And then you taste it, then like, oh, maybe it's a little bit too soft. So I'll just add something else in there, so that way I can offset it. Please stop doing that, because that's the problems that's negligence on our part to taste. It does not have to be overbearing, just to taste, so that way, one, you can get the flavor. And a lot of times you do overdo it with salt, and you don't put enough either garlic powder, turmeric, thyme,
Hmm.
oregano. Oregano really has great digestive properties to it to help with
Hmm.
your body as well. Turmeric helps fight inflammation. You know, branch out past garlic, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. That there are huge health benefits from branching out to these other spices and seasonings. So that's very thank you so much for
Lemon. You know what? Lemon and lime also.
oh yeah.
Because if you use an acidulant or something that has acid in it, that is So the reason that people use a lot of salt in their food is it's a flavor conductor. It
Mm-hmm.
actually conducts the flavor. So it gives the impression that the food is more flavorful. But acid does the same thing, like the acid from a little vinegar or the acid from limes, lemons,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So if you use the combination of both salt and citrus like that,
Yeah.
you can definitely cut back on your salt, and citrus is very good for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Man, I'm full. I'm excited. This has been great. This has been great. This has
Thanks,
been great.
Daniel. It has. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Always, always, always. So I just want to make sure I plug you. Make sure I had all your plugs and everything. Everybody, I just want to make sure that you guys understand his book, Guy Going Keto. You can find this on Amazon along with his products as well. Um, Also, if you don't go there, you can check out guygoingketo.com, to where you can also purchase the book, and you can also see the condiments that are on that website. It breaks it down so that way you can see the ingredients, the clean ingredients that are there. A lot of them have MCT oils, especially with the spices, not spices, the sauces. They have MCT oil in it as well. Icon Foods, that's where he has the Keto Sweet Plus. They're located there, but check them out. Iconfoods.com, guygoingketo.com. He has his own personal website, thomking.com. You can find him on Instagram with Guy Gone Keto. Look, he's the one-stop shop for a lot of fantastic keto products that have been that look, this bottle is empty because it's been
Oh,
used. Okay. All the other bottles are gone because I didn't want to keep empty bottles in there. This one's been used up. Okay. And so have all the other ones because they are good, flavorful, great tasting products that don't spike your blood sugar. You don't feel that sugar rush like you normally would having barbecue sauce. It's good and it's flavorful. So definitely check out all of his products everywhere. Mr. King, do you have any last words, any more pearls and gems of wisdom that you'd like to share before we go?
just show each other grace and love. That's it. And
Look,
thank you for everything that you do. Like, you're really putting it out there, and I think it's important. And yeah, I'm
I,
grateful for you.
I appreciate you. I surely do appreciate you. You're my first live interview.
This is my
So
first live interview.
see,
Everything is,
it
yeah,
was meant to be. It was
that's
meant to
fun.
be. Like
Yeah.
seriously, with the world that's in the state that it's in,
Mm.
situation with Ukraine, politics,
Yeah.
COVID going crazy,
Yeah.
everybody could use a little bit more grace,
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely. And
especially in this time.
a prayer for those folks that are in Ukraine.
Yes, because little does everybody realize they didn't think that they would wake up to bombshells going off.
Mm.
They didn't think that they'd wake up to having to go into a full scale war. And we have that luxury to not have to go through that right now. Well, we don't have to go through that, but it could happen. So just understand, people are fighting for their lives out there. You know, we have a
Mm.
luxury. Let's go ahead and extend grace, show love, and take the time out to enrich somebody's life, because they
Hmm.
may not remember your name after you've left them. They may not remember your face. They may not remember your voice, but they'll remember the positive impact that you made in their life.
Mm.
And I live by that. And with that concept, I feel like I'll live forever. You know, I'll be immortal in that, because my good deeds that I do will live through other people, and they'll spread like wildfire. And that's the same way that I see that you're doing with your plans and your projects as well. So Thom,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you for
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.
so everybody, you can catch this podcast. I'm going to start doing more live shows. I love the feedback. I love everybody asking the questions. I want everybody to learn. I want everybody to grow. I want everybody to have the best outcome for their lives as much as possible. Share this. Share this to your friends. Share this to your family members. If you're concerned about somebody's health and wanting to get involved in keto, share this to them, because I'm going to start doing these on the regular, because I want to help as many people as I can. Mr. Thom King was gracious enough to lend his time, to lend his voice, his story, his passion, and I'm more than thankful for it. So If you don't catch it here, you can also listen to my podcast on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I'm on Amazon now, Amazon Music. I'm on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Breaker. I'm there. I'm there. So, and I have next month will be my 2-year anniversary for this podcast. So
Congratulations.
it's been a journey. I didn't think it would come this far, but it's something that's going to be even better. And I got to get you a shirt.
Absolutely. I'll wear it with pride, my friend.
I got to get you a shirt. You just tell me what color you want it in, and I'll make sure you get it. If you want it in blue, I'll get you in blue. But if you want it in any other color, I'll get it for you. So again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in to the Keto 911 podcast. Thank you, Thom King, for coming out and being on the show. I'm Daniel. I call myself the Keto EMT. Have a great evening, and thank you all for tuning in.